What's up, everybody? Big Herc 916 getting down with Fresh Out. You know how we do it over here. I'm here with my man Tank, man, OG legend, and man, we're about to kick some game for you guys. Tank, you know, we were just talking off camera, man, about like how this whole border immigration thing and how the long-term plan, how we could see it, and how it relates to basically a prison yard, and how when you just talked about it, and you broke it down so smooth about how they don't want us to be able to pay attention to what they're doing, so they need another distraction. Share with the people, man, like just how you see this going down.
Yeah, well, like you said, I mean, we keep it 100, right? We keep it simple. In the prison yards, this is how they do it. The moment all these races get together and start unifying, they bring in a new busload of enemies from somewhere to disrupt the yard. That way they can keep us controlled. See what I'm saying? So if they keep us controlled, we won't unify. We're focused on us, where we're sitting, whose area is what, and this and that, while they get away with whatever they want to do. You know what I'm saying? And whatever crooked stuff they really got going on behind the scenes. It's always a hidden agenda behind everything. It's never just clean, you know, straightforward, right? They keep us all guessing, right?
And you know, when you were talking about that, I just was visualizing when they had the gang truce here and how everything was smooth and how it was going good. And, you know, people were getting along. You had dudes, collaborating, doing stuff. And think about how that went from the gang truce and gang members from different sets and different neighborhoods talking to what we look at LA now, and how they literally, even in some of the music, promoted this divide to now make it back to where it was almost pre like 80s, you know, as far as like just what's going on. I mean, you know, you grew up in LA and, you know, you've seen it firsthand. How do you see that landscape out here on the streets, man? Because you know, you've seen both sides. You've seen, you know, the OC. You've seen LA. You've seen the Valley. I mean, what's your whole perspective on that?
As far as, well, you know, again, they have so many props and hidden agendas and moves all the way back from, I mean, let's go all the way back to black codes and back and stuff like that, right? They implicate, these people are like very intellectual people that sit in the think tank and see how we could disrupt, you know, these communities and keep them disrupted, right? Because we're like the forgotten people of society, right? Obviously, when we knew the laws that came into play that were like only affected blacks, only affected minorities, only affected people of this, you know, tax bracket, you know what I'm saying? And so I mean, this is nothing new though. They've been doing this since the beginning.
It's almost like they repackaged it.
Yeah, and that's all they do. And and then once we figure this out, they're already working on the next, you know, move or to put in the system to keep us all, you know. And you see that right now with crimes going on right now today, you know. And why is it? Well, there's no money in the community. You know what I'm saying? So they're keeping us like where, you know, hope is a lot. And when you take hope away, then you get this craziness you see right now, you know. And then when you take out certain leaders, people that are promoting positivity, things that are good, they're gonna quiet you. They're gonna blanket you so you can't be heard or can't be seen. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going against the system, and this system is put in place for a reason. You know, for our vote, they'll give us XYZ a little bit of money to stay on Section 8, to stay getting free money, to stay in these communities, right? They get all these things in place, so you never really want to achieve to be greater, right? You just kind of get stuck in this realm of hopelessness, right? And then comes with hopelessness, it comes with these crazy crimes you see right now. Listen, they can fix this at any time. I tell you what, I tell you one thing that I know will work. You go to every gang part of LA, and you make everybody put life insurance on everybody. You know what? They'll stop that immediately. All this gangbangers, they'll stop. You know why? Because that'll create generational wealth. See what I'm saying?
So flip the script, because something happened. We all balling.
So at least if you get out here, you gangbanging, and you die, your family gets this.
Yeah.
So then that would disrupt the system.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then guess how many killings are going on in all these? You see what happened in Kansas City? That was crazy, right? After the game day parade, they did all that shooting. Okay.
Well, what about just recently here? They had 4 people die within a matter of 2 hours, and they said it was a gang initiation.
So imagine if all of them had life insurance policies on them. So at least the kids that are growing up have a chance to get out of that poverty. Oh, they shut that down immediately. they'll come with a plan quick to end all gang activity out here. You know what I'm saying? Quick. They had to shut that down. Then they have to create another device to lock us in there. That'll carry quick. That's without even going through, oh, we need, more money for this in the community and that. The main thing is this, education. If you ain't putting money into the education system and teaching them here, a lot of the old heads, they too old. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You can't change them. It's already too late for them. They just got to die off. But if you start right now with these people here, these kids here, oh, you could change that. But see, they're not going to do that. They're taking all the programs away from them. So to keep them watched. And then they're showing you all this crazy stuff on social media, Instagram. So these kids are growing up with this. They're a slave to that phone. They're a slave to that social media. And that's their parent. Because this social media spends more time with this kid than the actual parent. Because the parent has to work. The parent has to get out and try to survive, to pay bills, everything. So they know they got you trapped. You know what I'm saying? You're like this every day. Your kids are like this every day. Take that phone away from that kid and watch how they start throwing tension tantrums and going crazy and losing it. Man, they already know that, man. This scientists in the lab will tell you that this thing is disrupting their brain patterns on a daily. Because you see that with the algorithms that are different in other countries where they actually care about the youth because they know it's the most important. But here it's all about money, and the only people who are eating is those at the top. Yeah. And
they're trying to widen that gap.
Yeah, because that's it. Basically, we're going to be you either filthy rich in this country and you're very poor. Yeah. And today I feel like, blacks used to be the most hated, right? Now it's anybody who ain't in this tax bracket is going to be the most hated. You're the new black.
It's not just color.
It's not in color anymore. Yeah. See what I'm saying? Because they can't do that anymore, right? That's just So now it's like if you ain't on this side of the fence and saying that when these people up the top are okay with going into countries and doing all the crazy stuff that they're doing and not getting, they get a slap on the wrist or, they're like playing victim or whatever the case is going around the world. Like we're meddling in all these things and we're not even fixing what's going on right here. You know what I'm saying? Like these streets are terrible. You know what I'm saying? Like when you look out here, homeless, everything. Like it's getting worse and worse.
Looking at like where you came from and having the visualization you have now for life, I know for myself, I always thought differently, and I was always like, there's more to it than this. So even though I had homies and I hung out over here, I was always like, man, I know that this isn't just what I'm limited to. And you have the same type of mentality, like, you can go kick it, in Lemare Park, but then you can go right over here, Malibu and feel just as comfortable and be able to hold a conversation. Having, been in these situations, what do you think allowed you to be able to move to maneuver like that? Because I've had people say to me after, start talking, like, what were you in prison for? Oh my, how long were you there? Oh my God, how are you able to rehabilitate yourself? And he's looking at me like, really, you're insulting me. You're saying I'm not capable of rehabilitation, like we're animals.
Right.
You guys go to prison, you're done. Yeah. What did you do? Because we want to put a plug in that. We want to plug that hole. Like me, you talk about, this is Raiders, my nigga, you made it. What was it that you got out? Plug that shit up, and then that way we can keep the rest of you Negroes over here.
Right.
What was the thing that kind of opened your eyes up?
I always like to consider myself as a hybrid nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, even when I was young, I'm from the east side. Like, we talking about, it's grimy. It's poverty at its worst. You know what I'm saying? But that was home at one time. But you know what? It never stopped me. I like to call, there's homies that are like hood rat niggas, we call them. They never leave the hood. They just them four corners, that's it. They just all the way around here. And even just crossing over to 110 was a big thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like they were in a whole new element. Yeah. And then I come from an era where, coming from LA and going to the Valley was like a new world to me. You know what I'm saying? It was like, man, we out here with the white folks. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is big. You know what I'm saying? I felt like that was making it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I still wasn't comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm 49. So we talking about an era where it was still a lot more racism or you being looked at a certain type of way. And also I did have a certain type of look, but it was just what I can afford kind of look, right? It wasn't like I can jump into, Armani or Gucci or whatever the case was, right? And, and it was just like, okay, but that opened my eyes though. You know what I'm saying? Like, because, I'm a product of a biracial parents, right? So I'm Italian and black, and my mom is black, but she always taught me, you know what I'm saying, to embrace culture, right? Get out, meet people, you know what I'm saying? Never let racism ever take even though what she had to go through as a single black mom, raising a black kid, and all the, because I seen all the, what she had to go through, crying and not getting a job and position because of her color and not because of what she was a 4.0 when she graduated. So I watched her through a struggle, try to take care of me and raise and growing up. And I always knew I wanted more and bigger. You know what I'm saying? The only problem is, I take ownership. Every crime I committed, there's nobody to blame but me. You know what I'm saying? Because there are kids that that did make it. You know what I'm saying? So there's no excuse. No matter how hard it is, no matter what racism against you, there are people that have made it. But at the time, just from the trauma of my childhood and not knowing how to deal with it, I made certain decisions, right, that basically kind of backfired on me and took me down the wrong path. You know what I'm saying? But I always knew I wanted more. I always read, I always studied, and education is such a big thing because I think, I want to say my life started really changing. I got out, I was on parole, and I had a parole officer, and he was, racist is all outdoors. You know what I'm saying? And he used to ride me. He was like, yo, I'm going to violate you if you don't find a job. I'm going to violate you if you don't doing this. I'm going to violate you if you do that. And coming home, they didn't teach me any skills. When I went to the pen, I didn't learn any skills on how to survive in the real world. What I did learn how to do was survive in the streets. What I did do was how to survive in trenches, and trap houses and everything else. That's what I was taught. There was no programs that got me ready back for society, and I'm saying just the PTSD of just being in the institution, high level yards, riots cracking off, gang activity, being affiliated, those type of skills that you had to survive in. It's almost like coming home from Vietnam and just telling you after you've been out, had to kill teen people and lay in trenches, probably, shit piss in your pants, for survival, drink your own piss, whatever. And then you get back home into the real world and they're just like, okay, go work a normal job. Man, you got so much trauma and PTSD here, you know what I'm saying? And we see that time and again, because when people snapped, another episode of Snap, man just clearly went in there, killed everybody, and all this stuff. So they didn't teach you that. And I started learning, I knew something was wrong because as growing up in that, I'm like, this can't be right. You know what I'm saying? It can't be. They put you in here supposedly to rehabilitate you, but when I got out, I'm harder than I was before I went in. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm more braver, I'm more don't care, I'm more, so I'm, pushing lines and doing all this crazy stuff, but I knew something wasn't right up here, you know what I'm saying? And I just kept searching, and then I started looking out, reaching out and getting help, You need to talk to therapist or somebody who's trained that can give you some tools. We like to call it that toolbox, right? That you can use when you get in these stressful situations, when your back is against the wall. Man, I got to pay rent. I got to feed my kid. I shouldn't have to feel like I got to go rob. I shouldn't have to feel like I got to go jack. I shouldn't have to feel like I have to go sell drugs. I should be like, okay, I can go down here and use these resources here, you know what I'm saying, and learn a skill and make myself better. And these are things they could be doing in there. Man, listen, if they put every person that they put in jail and said the only way you don't get out is if you get a degree, how many people you think will reoffend after they get a degree? Because your intelligence level raises. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these people are stuck in the same environment. Even when I did this last fair bid, and I hadn't been in jail in so long and got myself caught up, feeling myself. And I would just remember when I was walking the track and some of my homies, some of my OG homies are pulling up on him. Man, listen, these are 40, 50, some even 60 years old walking. You know what they was talking about? The same shit that when I was in jail, fucking in my 19, 20 years old, gang stuff. Who was getting along with who don't get along with who.
Talking about
the
that
wars.
shit.
You know what I'm saying? Man, I branched off from that so quick because it's not me. I walked around the yard with those that, because in the feds, how it is in the feds.
Yeah.
This is probably the only time that you can get up on people and talk to them face to face that actually have, engineer degrees, doctor degrees, real estates, whatever you can think of that would never talk to you, in the streets. Yeah. But in here we're equal. So we can sit up and rap. And I used to walk the yard with him, man, and study business, study real estate. I studied all these things. Whatever I could, whenever I can learn, I pull up with a note, pen and paper and start writing notes down. And I started rehearsing plans from when I came home. If this didn't work, boom, I can get into this. If the real estate didn't work, boom. Then I also got, learning about how to invest your money, right? Stock market, whatever. And that's what I did when I came home. You know what I'm saying? I, like literally everything I wrote down, whatever little bit I had, I threw it in it and I practiced it and I moved it. And since then, what's it been, 2 years now, 2.5 years? Man, such a blessing in the world because now I'm able to provide for my family. You know what I'm saying? I'm comfortable. And right now it's bad out here, in this economy.
But one of the things that has allowed you to win is that you never looked at yourself as a victim, and you've always been able to socialize outside your culture. And we talked about before, like where you said you were having conversations with somebody, and you're like, oh yeah, I got Armenian friends, or I got Russian homies. You're able to communicate. Because I remember when I first hit a USP lawn park, and I remember I seen this white cat on the yard, and dude had mentioned something to me, and somehow we were at the weights, and I said something to him like, oh yeah, blah, 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 boo, boo, boo. And then somebody said, hey man, I heard you were talking to a white dude on your yard. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, man, a homie said you was talking to that dude and blah, 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 man, hey, don't be talking, boo. I'm like, damn. So the mentality is like, dude, what business do you have where they don't know how to interact with other people?
Right.
Which is one of the blessings where, like you said, you can go hold a conversation anywhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you got that fluctuation where if you want to talk about the streets, yeah, I know about that shit, but you want to talk about investments, so I can talk about that.
Right.
And it allows you to move in certain circles where, like you said, getting back to education, if you don't have the education, then you feel it traps you. It limits your ability to get outside of that.
Right. And that's important. And to add to that one was, I have another story. I pulled out some pictures from when I was out. Now, by this time, when I went to the feds, I was living in Panama, Peru, Costa Rica, we had houses everywhere, you name it, I was on a tour, private jets going everywhere, and it was a lifestyle. I was sprung on it. It was an adrenaline rush, right? But landing in each, country, I swear, like even the first time I left this country, when I landed down, I remember I went to Peru, it was for my birthday, first time to the soil, and my co-defendant, he's white. So this was normal to him. He'd been doing this his whole life. But when I landed there, it brought a tear to my eye. And he's like, and I was like, man, I never thought I made it. You know what I'm saying? Just to do this. You know what I'm saying? Not like I'm doing anything wrong, but just to sit here and say I'm in a whole new country. I left the neighborhood.
Yeah.
You
like the homie wouldn't even believe this shit. This is some other.
Yeah, like, and even right now, when I was calling them and telling them back then, they couldn't believe it. It was just unbelievable. Like, that's not possible. But that's how your mind is, or the system kind of creates this barrier to keep you trapped there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And to reiterate what I was saying about that, when the culture thing, I had that picture, and I was showing some guys some pictures of some of my boys. I hadn't seen them in years, right? And I landed on the yard, so I'm showing them these pictures. They show their pictures. They like hood pics, hood type. Everything was hood.
Yeah.
And here I am, I'm showing pictures. I'm like all over the world. And it was one picture was like about 7 of my boys on there. And one of my boys, he said this comment, right? And it was funny. I love to correct him in a way, right? But in a good way, right? He was like, man, are you guys white friends? I said, wait. There isn't no white people on this picture. What are you talking about? He said, right there. I said, he's Mexican. I said, he's Armenian, right? And I started going down the list of races, and I said, this ain't white. I said, see the difference? See, when I call somebody a friend, I shouldn't have to say, this is my white friend, or this is my black friend, or this is my son. A friend is a friend.
That's right.
It doesn't have any color. Unless I'm making it distinct, or like I'm making it like, oh, we were eating soul food, so I was with the my black side, or whatever the case was, then I might throw that in. But I said, that's a roadblock right there. The roadblock is that when you look at this, all you see is black and white. You don't even see that these are different races. That just shows how far you've been out of your own community, right? Or even tried to venture out, that you can't even distinguish that in today's day. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy, man.
And that's just how it shows you how warped minds are, and they're trapped. So you can't expect this guy to get out and just do the greatest things, right? Or travel down a great path, right? But they need that though, because they're charging taxpayers, what, $47,000 a year? I mean, what are they charging, to house an inmate? Man, that's a cash cow. So we need you to come back.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? That's what keeps this cash cow going. This is why we have money to send to every other country. It's coming off the prison system. This is big business. If prison system wasn't big business, we would have the smallest prison in the world, in the United States.
Yeah.
But because it's big money, big business, then that's why it has to be blowed up to this nature, because we need more money. You know what I'm saying? We need more money. We're not trying to fix this problem.
It's almost like when the problem kind of started disappearing, they had to put some type of Kindle underneath it to, what do you call it, when you start getting to get the flames, they start going again. When they started pushing the whole, hey man, you guys can go ahead and rob. We're not going to jail under $900, under $1,000, you're good. And you're like, what do you mean? Yeah, man, go ahead. Which, people think, well, yeah, see, we're getting a break. We've been getting wrong injustice, but they're programming you to go do some shit that you maybe wouldn't have entertained, but because you think there's no consequence, you're now doing a gateway crime that could eventually lead to something bigger.
Oh yeah.
Which, to me, all that's by design, because believe they got a plan, man. Once this shit gets to a certain level, they're gonna stack these mega prisons out here too.
Yeah. I mean, it's most definitely. Listen, if we can get you to start at a younger age, because you feel like there's no consequences, we've already got your mind going in a certain direction.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? This by dropping this law or making this happen a certain way. Listen, by far, people need to stop sitting back and acting like they don't have intelligent people with XYZ degrees thinking these plans up, right? They just make it like we just don't know.
Conspiracy.
Right.
Oh, they don't, yeah.
Man, listen, we got the technology to look at a dime in another country, right, from space. We got the technology to send drones that can follow you by face recognition and blow your head up, just come after you. They ain't even got to come in because they just release 100 drones, and these things got all kind of, they just fly at your head and blow it up.
Yeah.
Like we have the technology, you know what I'm saying, to do all these great things, and we don't do nothing good for it. All we do is gear it up for war. And it's by design. Yeah, it's by design, man. Man, listen, the devil has control over Earth. This right here, this realm, and he is actively working in these people. You know what I'm saying? Man, we can stop wars. We can feed. Where the country day people still going hungry? Just in America. Come on, man. When there's so much food up in here, like we throw so much food away.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like there's common diseases that can be eradicated in countries. You know what I'm saying? And that nobody gives them nothing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, yeah, there's certain people that go out and do something, but if we collectively as a whole got together and we unify, we can take the power back, but they're not going to allow that.
Do you see this as being a spiritual war? I mean, from my perspective, I mean, I grew up and went to church with my grandmother, but when I look at it from a spiritual sense and what we see going on now, and me and you talk all the time, and they don't even hide shit no more. I mean, literally, they're talking, doing devil symbols during the Super Bowl. I mean, they're doing these different videos. They got a lot of dark witchcraft and spells being cast.
Right.
And if you think like, oh man, you're just full of, dude, that shit's, it's energy. And you and I both know how it works, because literally in prison, I used to be in Long Park, it would be raining on Long Park and I'd look at the distance, it'd be sun. But the energy was so dark on Long Park that it would be a cloud over there.
Yeah.
Because of the negative energy.
Right.
And so you can't tell me that they don't try to purposely lower the frequency on some spirit to make it to where we just got it on a vibration where it's just straight chaos.
Right. And now, even more so, what they say is the devil is a lie. You have world leaders, they hide under religion to do their dirt now. You know what I'm saying? So I'll say I'm coming in the name of Christianity, coming in the name of Islam, coming in the name of Judaism, whatever it is. But what they do with their actions, there's nowhere in that book that it says this is allowed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And people are fooled by that, because people don't pick up these books and read them. They just pass down information, and then it gets, it gets twisted. And then by the time you get there, like if you take a story, you go in one direction, I take the same story, go in another direction, take a story in another direction. And by the time that thing come back around, there's so many different elements that's been added to this thing that by the time it get back, and this ain't the original doctrine. You know what I'm saying? I don't see any, You know, I study Christianity. I'm Christian. You know what I'm saying? But in all these, when I've read through all these books, I have not seen anything that is about killing, destruction of any sort in any of these books. But somehow, when it's posted on social media, you say certain groups, and it has a negative, impact when people hear it. You know what I'm saying? And none of these people, all these people that have all these comments to say, especially on social media, none of them have actually picked up the book and read it and studied it. So they just take whatever is getting out there, and we already know that. This is mind control. This is mind control 101. Yeah. Man, listen, man, you can be asleep every night, and I can play some music. This is fact. They tell you to do this when you want to study for tests. They tell you want to do this when you want to learn language, and you play it in the background as you're going to sleep, and it sinks into your subconscious, or and all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, oh, I kind of know these things because you've been hearing it all night. Well, that's what they're doing every day. Every day when you pick up that piece of machinery. Whether you're not even, you got your big 100-inch, you got all your streaming channel, you're getting that, you're programmed. This is going on every day, you're being programmed. That's why kids run out and do these crazy things. You know what I'm saying? Mass murders and things like that. They're following this cult of just illusions of straight bullshit. You know what I'm saying? There's no foundation anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We don't know who's man, who's woman. We don't know who's this religion means that. We don't know anything anymore. There's no foundation anymore. What's wrong or right? What you say is up. The next person said no, that ain't up anymore.
I know. It's like 2 + 2. No, that's 5. 2 + 2, 2. That's. You're like, damn. How? They're like, it doesn't even matter no more. They're just making up shit.
Yeah. And they're doing that for ratings, or they're doing that for, subscriptions, or they're doing that for whatever the case is, right? And then God forbid you come out and you preach a positive message. You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden you start losing people. But if I come on this thing and I start talking crazy, man, all of a sudden everybody's chiming in on it, man. It's like the old gladiator days, right? You remember they say, like, during war and times that this was going on, he would host, Caesar would host these things.
Yeah.
So people want to see blood and gore, everything. Like, it was the biggest thing going. You know what I'm saying? And look at how the UFC blew up. You know what I'm saying? Over fighting. Boxing.
Yeah.
Look how much more messier it is, because people thrive on that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But how come we can't thrive on good? How come we can't thrive on, man, we out here changing the community? How come we can't thrive on that? Where's that energy, that same, that go at? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, hearing about, like, a young kid, becoming a young doctor or this or that, but you see instead, 12, 13-year-old high-speed chase shooting at police, and they, so
that's everywhere.
They're showing that, but like, yeah, look at that dude. And so you don't see the stuff that could really shape you in a positive sense. We're going to keep feeding negative. Even, like, I don't even watch TV. I get most of I just see, like, here and there off of the, Instagram or something, or Facebook. But you look at, like, what's out there and, like, man, this shit is wild, man. Some of the stuff, like, that blows me away, even how, like, parents, what they're tolerating in schools. Like, I've seen some of that stuff. I'm like, when would that have been allowed when we were growing up?
Right.
To have, let me just, and they might not like this, but I got to say it, man. Even as a regular person, what would prompt you to want to get dressed and go sit in front of some children? What would do that, man? It's no different than a girl that does, a stripper go. It's not. What would even prompt a person to do that? I mean, you got to have something. Something's going on in your head. It's not normal.
Right.
It's not even normal. If we've seen a dude walk into the school, he's gonna come into, like, you were at junior high, or my junior high, and you're like, dude, what is this? What's going on? He's gonna read you guys a story.
Right.
What is that, man?
Right.
And for a parent, and you're sitting there, you're watching, or they're clapping with the dude on the pole. I'm like, dude, what parent? My mom wouldn't have put up. Your mom wouldn't have done that. Right. My grandfather. It's like the parenting is this weak.
Right.
It's like, who tolerates that shit?
Right.
It's just crazy, bro. I look at it like, and the kid, you're traumatized. I can remember when I was a kid and I seen certain things. You can remember 6-year-old. I remember, seeing something. But, like, the traumatization. We were talking about what we went through, but the trauma. What are you trying to do to that child?
Right.
What's the purpose?
Are you giving him a fair chance to make it?
You're taking away the innocence, man.
Right. And just to jump on that real quick, as a child, the only thing I want my kids to know when they go to school is what they need to be learning as far as education. Anything outside of that, you know what I'm saying? Especially when we start getting into sex and all these other things, and you don't need to know that. You're too young to know this. You know what I'm saying? We're talking elementary school. This is the beginning. you want to plant as many positive, seeds as you possibly can before you start taking this young mind and getting it to start coming to conflict, right? And it starts to question itself, right? Where does it stand? What side is it on? And that goes for racism, anything, right? Because now you start planting these things, and they start focusing more on these things and less of the education, right?
That's right.
And then you start getting distracted, right? Now you're coming down the line as this kid gets older. He starts rebelling because he has all these emotions and things going on because it's like corrupting software, right? Like once you get a virus, that thing doesn't work the same anymore, right?
Exactly.
If that virus, it might not pop up just so apparently like I'm a virus, but it starts affecting you in certain areas, right? And certain things, and you start seeing certain things. You're like, man. And then if you don't get it, because most parents, a lot of parents out there, they don't have the tools to challenge it or address it at a certain age. So they just kind of pass it off.
Yeah.
And then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then all of a sudden you got a kid doing mass shooting, bringing a gun to school and shooting a bunch of kids, random kids. It could come out in so many different ways. Drug problems, overdose. It could come out and just, we never know how it's going to come out. But 9 times in, when it does come out, it's not going to be positive.
Well, you made the great point, like you said, as far as the education that's the only thing you should be teaching. It's no different than if you're sitting there and you're showing a kid somebody just snort cocaine. This person's they're drinking their alcohol. And I've been around certain, and so when you see that and how it affects you, well, they were doing. Let me try that. Let me try. You're planting seeds, and like you said, once these things, and then when it turns out that it's not, the kid doesn't feel right now, like you said, maybe now he gets depressed. Now I'm gonna go try these drugs. Now I'm gonna go over here and try this, or I'm mad at everybody. I'm angry, so I'm gonna go over here, like you said, shoot some shit up. These are all trigger points.
Right.
And all that comes from what you exposed to. So if you think that's going to make a kid normal, it's going to really, like you said, you're setting it up for future problems because it will eventually come out. And I can firsthand, and I don't care. I remember going to juvenile hall, and my mom she was pissed, man, coming up in there and looking around. She working 2 jobs. I'm embarrassed, bro, but I'm in there. I'm feeling like straight shit. But I'm looking at some of the other people's like moms in there, they put rag on the head, banging, like just straight. You like my mom looking like, you got me coming to this,
right.
And I'm looking like, and so I'm looking at this dude, and he's like, yeah, cause I mean, these dudes are wilding out. These dudes are straight animal. You know what I mean?
They lost.
They lost, and I'm like. Most of them, like when you go to school, they don't even do that. I'm like, I'm in chemistry class. I'm in there with dudes who don't even know basic science. And you're talking to some of these dudes, and you start realizing, like, damn, man, I'm up in here. What am I doing?
Right.
But I can't break away yet. But I'm in there with these guys, and it wasn't until later when I started putting it all together, like, it's exposure, like, I at least had some decent type of reflection point. But imagine a kid whose mom, his uncle banging, this dude over here selling crack. He's seen his
mom on drugs.
We've seen the guns. He touching a little kid. Hey, little, give me that. You 20. And he's playing with it like it's cute, but he holding a little deuce.
Right.
And you thinking it's cool. So when he get older, he like, shit, I seen him pop him up, dude, in the driveway. I'm gonna pop somebody.
Did it. Yeah. Fall right behind him.
And it's no different. You know what I mean? So people, you can say what you want, but it's like people are groomed to be drug dealers, gang. It's the same shit.
Well, it's fact. There's a high percentage of, if you have successful parents, that your kid is going to be successful. It's a fact. It's a high percentage that both your parents are, say, addicted to drugs, doing violence, whatever it is, that 9 times out of 10, you're going to follow on that same path. We always say, do as I say, but don't do as I do. But what is the statistics, right, say when you say that, right? Well, son still follows in the dad's path, right? So you have to act, not just preach it, but you need to walk that walk. You know what I'm saying? So you can't just say, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing crack, or I'm smoking, or I'm doing whatever, but don't do it. When you get older, this is bad for you. No. He's like, well, shit, Pop smoke, I'm a smoke. You know what I'm saying? He drank, I'm a drink. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, and it's not rocket science. You know what I'm saying? It's just that you know, the system in every form or fashion, they close doors and they box you in to where you're kind of like, you're just stuck there, right? And you're stagnant because you ain't got the education. You don't have that toolbox. They're not giving you that. And the government's not gonna give you that. You know what I'm saying? You have to be almost resilient because you got to keep getting up and hitting that wall, keep getting up until you find a way out of it. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to give it to you, you know. And I've heard even Farrakhan speak that. He said, man, listen, stop looking for them to fix you.
That's right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Look within your own and fix yourself. Like you have to stop looking for everybody else to help you. You have to search yourself. You have to get it yourself. Stop depending on them because they're just going to feed you another, you know, another, you know, deploy of bullshit. Oh yeah, it looks good, sounds good and everything else. And you take it home and open it up and it's shit in the middle of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I thought this was, you know what I'm saying? They dress it up nice. They're gonna dress it up nice.
Yeah.
They're good at that. Gift wrap it nice, everything. Got the little name brand stuff on it. Then you get home, you bust it open, boom, shit made in China. You know what I'm saying? You're like, man, this is, it gets you every time. You know what I'm saying? You're like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like, so stop. We have to get together and start, you know, from our youth on up, you know, and do it ourselves. We have to get out and search it. I mean, you can get see, the good thing about today's era is information is there.
That's right.
Versus we didn't have access to this information young. You're starting to see facts of who, you know, great scientists, where you came from, kings you came from, bloodlines, who's related to who. You think of it, man, like possibilities of getting there. You know, it's one thing about YouTube, man. Man, listen, man, I DIY so many projects, man, that wasn't available when I was young. You can get on here and I'm like, oh man, I had to fix my washer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Instead of me panicking, I just DIY'd. I'm like, oh, this is a simple fix.
Exactly.
You would have charged me $400 to change this little $20
Yeah.
piece. So the information is there. You just got to want to do it. You know, you got to want to get up. You can't be lazy.
Yeah.
You can't say, get up and make it happen. You know what I'm saying? And if we start having that approach of researching, right, before we start running our mouth and then get out there, you'd have a better standpoint, you know what I'm saying? Especially when you like we kicking knowledge like we are now, right? Like, I know I like to think I'm always right, and I got that bad, you know what I'm saying? But I always take information in, even if I don't like it, and I'll go back and research it and to help me build a better standpoint the next time, you know what I'm saying? When I'm having a talk with somebody, right? You know, like, and a lot of people don't. They just get stuck in their way. They get just one information and that's it. You know what I'm saying? No research behind it. Somebody be telling them facts. Like, they'll hit me with facts. Culture, religion, history. Like, I get wrong in certain areas. Like, oh, I didn't know that. And somebody hit me with something, and I research it. I'm like, man, he was correct. You know what I'm saying? So then it gives me the more information you have, you can make a better decision, right? You know, especially if you're going into business, you're going into real estate. Man, if I got 10 real estate agents talking to me on how the best way to buy a house versus one, I got a better chance of getting a better deal, a better rate, better everything, because putting all that information together, and you gotta adapt that. You gotta at least get 3 credible sources, you know, at least 3, I always say, and then make a decision from there, right? Or where you want to stand on something, right? You know, that's just an eye roll, just to be safe. You know what I'm saying?
There you have it. Big Herc 916, fresh out, getting down with the homie Tank.